Alrighty, yeah. So my current topic was students' poverty affecting their early childhood education. I really wanted to do this topic because I have actually learned about this my last semester, and it's just really interesting how it all works out, how they grow up and their developments. So what is the poverty? Poverty is a state of condition in which a person or community lacks the financial resources and essential for a minimum standard of living. It means that the income levels from employment is so low that basic human needs cannot be met. So really, like, this is more like an adult way, like how they don't make enough money, but also like in family form, like how do children get affected by this poverty level? So these are the statistics of the 13 million kids living in poverty in 2017. And a family of 2 adults and 2 children fall in the poverty category under the $25,926, which I found really interesting because my family's a party of 6 of us. And my father, he only made about $35,000 a year when we were growing up. So, and we never fell under that category from what I was told growing up. So they were always call me the middle class, lower middle class. So I just found that really interesting how this is the poverty level. And then what does the book say? Among the most frequently identified risk factors are living in poverty, living in a single parent, low education level, a parent's disability, and child abuse. The concept of risk factors has led to the use of term children at risk of school failure. So reading this part of the book at page 142, it talks about how they start having developmental issues, developmental delays, and having health problems or social problems just because they don't have that relationship with their parents. Most of the time, these parents are poor or have lower poverty levels because their jobs just don't pay them good enough, and they're never home. They're just working and trying to find new jobs to sustain the family. So that's where it starts getting to their vocabulary levels and also just peer rejection. And this can lead to poor outcomes of like academic failure, dropping out of school, mental health, and criminal behavior. So toddlers, I started off with toddlers on how this can start affecting them at such a young age. It inhibits their physical, emotional, and cognitive, social, and behavioral development. Toddlers who grow up at this time delays after the 18 months of age. So they just start having physical, psychological, and emotional damage just due to the episodes that they're going through. So parents, like I said before, they're not at home as much because they're really just trying to make the money out of it. Sometimes they only grow up with one parent, sometimes they only grow up with their grandparents, and they just don't have that same relationship. They also start delaying in their academics just because, like I said, they don't have that connection with anybody. They're not talking with anybody, and it's just them by themselves, and it just starts causing problems. So this is from my article analysis, how poverty affects classroom engagement by Eric Jensen. It discusses how the lower and middle social and economic status struggle with 7 different factors. So we'll start off with health and nutrition. Guardians are barely trying to make enough money, so sometimes they try to buy the cheapest products for their kids just so they can be fed. Like I know a few of my cousins have dealt with this, and they just give them like ramen, and that just has very nutrition. It just has a lot of sodium just to fill them up. Vocabulary of those who come from a low income, they only know 13 million words when starting school, when most kids are already starting to learn 26 to 46 million words. So the effort we can do is just try to have a basic relationship with them. So like the effort, they don't try to put any effort in class, and us as educators, we must just try to help them, push them to where they can start doing their work enough, or like having to have social connections with them and the students. Also with hope and growth, they're giving lower expectations, and that's just something that we should never do to students. They should always be at high spirits that they're gonna make it, they're gonna graduate out of high school, they're going to college. And the relationships, like I said, they grow up in a chaotic home. They sometimes don't have parents at home. They only have babysitters or grandparents to take care of them, and they just don't build a relationship with anyone. And lastly, distress is like, it's a greater chronic stress. It just affects their brain development, academic success, and social competence, and they become And these kids tend to become more aggressive just because they don't know how to communicate. They just know how they communicate at home. And what can teachers do? We can just create a better environment for them, keep them in high spirits. I always thought about putting up quotes for them in the board, just an everyday quote to keep them up in spirits and have a better day. We must start off with clear minds and never judge a student where they come from, and just be patient and be kind. And also, us as educators, we have so many resources to offer these students and parents. I know sometimes we go out of pocket just to give them something, but there's also many programs. I know growing up, my mom, she took nutrition classes because they offered it at my school. They also offered for ESL, and just overall, like, there's resources out there to give to all our students, and we just have to be open about that. And these are my sources.